Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and welcome to Best of Designers. Today we're taking a look at Michael Schacht. Now, Michael is a designer who he's made a lot. He's not known for making the heaviest of games, although he's made some games that have really, people talk about them a lot. One of the games that's not going to be in my top 10 that a lot of people like to talk about is Web of Power / China. This is a game that's really done well. His games are smaller type games, maybe medium weight games, but there's usually some a couple mechanisms and you put them together. So, again, even though those games didn't make my list, I still think they're fine games. His games usually, I think, ooh, that was clever. That's an interesting thing to add to a game. And I like that sort of thing. And I remember back when I reviewed one of his games, he emailed me and said, hey, we can play this online together. Let's do it. And I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. A designer just emailed me out of the blue. That was kind of a neat thing, and I've always remembered that. So here's my 10 favorite games from Mr. Schacht. Number 10 is Draco and Company. Now, this game is... there's a lot of games like this now. When it first came out, though, I thought it was pretty interesting. This is basically a game where you have just gone on basically a dungeon crawl, and you're all back, and now you're drinking, and you're trying to be next to Draco, who's the leader of the party, and so you're maneuvering people around in these seats. There's this cup that's passing around. There's a lot of games like this now, but like I said, when it first came out, this whole moving people around, it was in the Blue Box series from Descartes. It was a really cool little series, and I like Draco. Number 9 is Valdora. Now, Valdora is essentially a pick up and deliver type game, but what makes this game pretty neat is there's this spell book, and the cards are flipping over, and it's a deck of cards, but it has a spell book feeling, and so you can flip backwards or forwards in this book as you're just maneuvering around trying to pick up things and delivering them to another spot. So the game itself isn't kind of like mind-blowing. It's a typical game, but I really like that little spell book feel to it. Number 8 is Quietville, or the way I originally played it, Bull in a China Shop. This is simply a very small card game, and this has one of his things, are you going to give or take? Are you going to buy some china? And I'm going to talk about the Bull in the China Shop because that's the version I played. Buy some china, or if you don't have any money to buy any china, you got to take a bull and hope they don't smash the china that you've already taken. So you got to kind of pick the right time to let a bull loose in your china shop, and hopefully they won't destroy too much. Number 7 is Industria. Now, unfortunately for Industria, I don't think, I might be wrong, but I don't think there was ever an English version of this. The version I played from Queen Games, this is back before Queen Games made everything in English and German, was pasted up. But it still was just a neat idea, building these industries, and it kind of like, the game was almost like just a tech tree as you build these industries and they go down, but I always found it fascinating. Number 6 is Patrician. This is a tower building game. Now, there are probably better tower building games out there, but I really did enjoy this one as you moved around the board and tried to build different towers, a little bit of 3D representation, some interesting ideas of when to play the cards and not Patrician. Number 5 is one of the most popular games he did, a card game called Loretto. Loretto, which was a chameleon-themed game, essentially was add a card to the table or take one of the groups of cards. And so there was this kind of push your luck. I don't want to take a group of cards that doesn't have a full 3 cards in it or whatever. But at the same time, if I wait too long, I might be forced to take a group of colors that I really don't want. And this was such a brilliant concept that he's used it in other games of his. So you have this color, am I going to play a card or am I going to pull cards? That was the whole concept of the game, but it worked really well. And I like it. Loretto. Number 4 has been rethemed many times. I believe the first version was Crazy Chicken. The version I played from Simply Fun was Drive, and the latest one was Call to Glory, but these are essentially all the same game. And with these games, and we'll talk about Drive, because that's the one I played the most. Drive was with cars. You are playing cards in front of you in groups to score points, but if someone plays a bigger group, then you're going to lose that control of that area. It's just basically play some cards. It's kind of rummy-esque in a sense, but it really works well with 2 or 3 players, I think. It just says kind of draw cards, play cards. Do I want to play when I have a lot, or do I want to play when I have a ton so that no one else can take control of that group? I like it. Number 3 is, he was one of the co-designers of Fist of Dragonstones. Fist of Dragonstones, of course, is also from Bruno Feduzzi. This game is actually being reprinted this year from Stronghold Games, where you were bidding for Dragonstones. You want these Dragonstones, and you're bidding for cards to get to them. And so it's a blind bidding game, and you have to kind of figure out the right cards to bid for it. They give you the special powers that eventually will let you get gems, which you can turn in to get the Dragonstones. It sounds more complex than it is, but there's a lot of fun back and forth. Some people hate it because of the blind bidding part of it, but I enjoyed it a lot. Fist of Dragonstones. Number 2 was the culmination of Loretto, and that's Loretto. Loretto took Loretto and added a theme and a board. Same thing as Loretto, where you decide to add or take. Here you're adding animals to trucks and then taking a truck full of animals and putting those animals into your zoo. Of course, the zoo theme is really well done. I like to have animals in a zoo. Doesn't everyone? He actually made a sequel to this called Aquaretto, which was the same thing but with water animals. But Loretto, there's a lot of expansions for it. It won the Spiel des Jahres, did really well. I like it better than Loretto because I like the addition of theme to it. And then my favorite game from Michael Schacht is Mogul. Now, Mogul, you might say, what? I've not heard of this. It was a small little train game he did that I think Rio Grande reprinted a couple years ago. This is a train stock game. And you're like, what? A train game? Yes, a train game for me. Mogul is a game in which you are buying shares of these different trains, and you do so by a bidding system, which is similar to a game I really like called No Thanks, where you are throwing a chip on there to stay in the auction. So the shares go around, I throw a chip on to stay in the auction. If I ever drop out of the auction, I take all the chips that are on there. And you keep going till there's one person left, they get the share. And the newest Rio Grande added a few rules to make the game even more rounded out and robust. It's a very small game. It plays very well. I love it a lot. Mogul, my favorite game. What are your favorite games from Michael Schacht? Tell me in the comments below. What did I miss? Again, I know Weapon Power, China, and all that. There's a lot of great games that he has done. I don't like all of his games, but I know a lot of you do. Tell me the ones you think are the best in the comments. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel. This has been Designer's Best. Michael Schacht on the Dice Tower.